Hey guys, it's great to be with you again this week as we continue our series of God Time videos moving through the book of Mark. In today's God Time video, we're going to follow up on our last devotional from the beginning of Mark chapter 5. Today we will see what happens after Jesus delivered the man from a legion of demons and cast them into a herd of pigs, because I think it is fascinating. Now, after all the people in the Decapolis, the people on the other side, if you remember us using that kind of language, talking about the people who weren't from Galilee, who weren't Jewish, Jesus says, let's go over to the other side. So after all the people on the other side hear what has happened, they come to see Jesus. And when they see Jesus, they also see this man who had previously been possessed by a demon, who they had kicked out of their community, sitting calmly and clearly in his right mind. Their response to this is very revealing because they can tell that Jesus has great power, but they are afraid. Perhaps it's because Jesus isn't from their side, and so they beg Jesus to leave the Decapolis. A Bible scholar named Rick Watts points out that in a sense this is a kind of reverse exorcism. In the first part of Mark chapter 5, Jesus performs an exorcism when he drives demons out of the man living in the graveyard. And in the second part of the story, the people of the Decapolis perform a kind of exorcism, driving Jesus out of their region. And what's interesting is Jesus says, all right, I'll leave. He doesn't get angry. He doesn't complain that the people on the other side, the people in the Decapolis, aren't treating him with as much honor as the people on his side, the people of Galilee and Judea. I'll just go back there where they honor me. No, that's not what happens. Jesus doesn't complain at all. He just gets in the boat and he heads home. But before he leaves, he has one last conversation with the man he healed. In verse 18, we read, as Jesus was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed begged to go with him. He comes to Jesus and once more falls on his knees. I want to be your disciple. Let me come with you. Let me get in the boat. But Jesus says no. Up until this moment, Jesus has been going around telling everyone who would listen, come follow me. Come be with me. Come and become one of my disciples. But now he says to this desperate man who's begging to go with him, no, I want you to stay here. Don't follow me. I want you to go and tell your story. This is what it says. Jesus did not let him come with him, but said, go home to your family and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how much he has had mercy on you. So the man went away and began to tell in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him, and all the people were amazed. This guy decided to obey Jesus. How awful must it have been for him to see this man who had just changed his life getting into a boat and going away on the Sea of Galilee, and he didn't get to go with him. But he says, I'm going to do what Jesus asked me to do. And so he starts telling people in the Decapolis, you know me, you know what I used to be like, you know what my life was like, I was crazy. Can I tell you my story? Can I share my testimony? Can I tell you about this guy, Jesus? Do you want to hear what he's done for me? And of course, a few chapters later in Mark chapter 8, we will see how the people in the Decapolis have responded to this man's message. In Mark chapter 8, Jesus returns to the Decapolis, and when he comes back, he encounters a huge crowd of people. This is the moment when Jesus does the miracle of the feeding of the 4,000. And it's fascinating because the last time Jesus was in the Decapolis, here in Mark chapter 5, they are desperate for him to leave. They beg him to leave. But just a few chapters later, they're desperate for him to stay. What accounts for the change in their behavior between Mark 5 and Mark 8? Well, I believe that humanly speaking, the primary thing that was different was that one guy who had had his life transformed by Jesus, he shared his testimony of what Jesus had done for him and how Jesus had changed his life. As we think about our passage today, I think the application for us is fairly self-evident. You need to go and tell your story. Whether your testimony involves something dramatic where God saved you from a life of wild living and sin, or you gave your life to Jesus as a child, everyone has a story that they can share. Everyone can tell someone about what Jesus has done for them.